Hello, and welcome to another edition of Walker Talks. I'm Lacey Smith with the Walker County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined today by Eric Pulle with the City of Chickamauga. Eric wears a lot of hats. He's on our board of directors. He also is on our tourism committee. But what is your official title with the City of Chickamauga?
Economic Development and Events Director.
So other duties as assigned is what you're telling me.
Exactly.
Yes. You guys have a lot going on in Chickamauga right now.
We do.
Yeah.
Things are really picking up pace right now. We have just completed and did the final walkthrough on the Chickamauga Battlefield Connector Trail. And that has been a long-term goal of the city to connect downtown to the Chickamauga Battlefield with a multi-use pathway.
And tell people why that's so important, because you have this big tourist attraction in the battlefield, but then you have your downtown area. Why is it so important to get those two connected?
The battlefield sees over 1 million visitors a year. And as we were writing the grant to justify spending for the Battlefield Connector Trail, I did canvassing of our local businesses downtown. And downtown Chickamauga would see maybe 500 of those visitors from out of town to find their way to downtown to do shopping and dining and just enjoying the historic downtown area. And we have basically a firewall with Highway 27 at the battlefield and the city limits. And it takes an intention to get into your car and drive to another location, find a place to park to get out and explore another area, another location in the Chickamauga area. And so this Battlefield Connector Trail is going to allow a multimodal travel from the battlefield to downtown. You can walk it, ride it, take scooters. Motorized vehicles are not allowed, so you won't be able to take your golf cart on it. But if you have a battery operated or an electric bicycle, that would be allowable. And so it's going to open up a thoroughfare or a corridor to the battlefield where you can go park at Wilder Tower and ride your bike around the beautiful park, but then also take a pathway that is separated from vehicular traffic to downtown and grab lunch or do some shopping. And it's going to increase the foot traffic downtown.
I love that, because I had heard from several people over the years, if they weren't from Chickamauga, they didn't even know there was a downtown Chickamauga. And so I think this is a natural way for them to be able to visit and explore the town in a unique way. But I think it's also a way for the city to kind of connect the history and the past with the battlefield, because I know for a long time it was almost up in the air. How do we, attract visitors? How do we tell our story as a community and as a city, but keep eyes on the future? And there are so many people who still seek out that history of the Civil War. And as you said, 1 million visitors coming to the park, not just for the history, but for exercise too.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this pathway. And credit has to be given to former city manager John Culpepper.
Yep.
This was kind of his idea, his baby, and he asked Michael Haney, our current city manager, to please get this done before he died. And so I feel privileged to be able to play a part of this because we're going to have the ribbon cutting soon, and John's going to be in attendance.
John's going to be there.
And we've been able to secure a battery operated tricycle, electric tricycle that
Nice.
hopefully he and I are going to, after we cut the ribbon, we're going to ride our bicycles to downtown
You'll be
Chickamauga
like
for
the
lunch.
master of ceremonies.
I think we're gonna use it for the way it's intended, and
Yeah.
we're coming downtown to
Yeah.
spend money and buy lunch.
Which he is a walking history book of not just Chickamauga but Walker County.
Yeah, and that's the brilliance of this plan and this idea of his, is that this Battlefield Connector Trail is taking two modes of tourism and combining them, because that Battlefield Connector Trail is not only a way for people to walk and ride into the battlefield from downtown Chickamauga or vice versa, it is also the pathway that the Union Army marched to the Battle of Chickamauga from the Gordon Lee Mansion to engage in battle with the Confederacy.
Wow.
And so you think about, we hear all the stories about the surges and things that took place in some of the front rooms of the Gordon Lee Mansion. But even before that happened, there was an army of men marching down that Battlefield Connector Trail, knowing that some of them were not coming back, or they were not coming back in one piece. And so it's a critical piece of history, but now it's also a mode of transportation for people to take bicycles or walk into downtown and exercise on as well. So it's a really unique piece or a really unique asset that we have for the city now.
So speaking of transportation, another mode of transportation, we've got the train coming back, and it actually comes back this weekend.
Yes.
So what does that do for your downtown merchants?
It automatically brings 200 to 250 people into the downtown district for a couple hours to shop and eat. And excuse me, the last 2 years, we've really expanded on the number of train trips that are coming to Chickamauga. And this year, we're going to have a record number. I think we're going to have 37, if I'm not mistaken, trips into Chickamauga. The Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum traditionally came on Saturdays in the spring to the city of Chickamauga, and then Saturdays in the fall to Somerville, because the route to Somerville in the fall with leaf change is just, it's a prettier train ride from Chattanooga to Chickamauga. But the Chattanooga to Chickamauga turn is much more in alignment with a day trip. It's shorter. You can come and hit it and kind of enjoy the downtown area and get back to Chattanooga at a time that you can still have the ability to explore and do other things in the area. And so the Chickamauga turn is a really popular trip because of its length. Um, and we normally have not gotten fall trips. Well, last year or 2 years ago, we started exploring doing fall trips. But in order to not take away from what Somerville was getting, we had to add Sunday trips.
Okay.
And traditionally, Chickamauga businesses have been closed on Sunday. And so we've talked with some of the business owners. They've agreed to open up, and so we started slowly adding Sunday trips 2 years ago. Last year we added more Sunday trips. This year there's going to be even more. And in order to try to create activity downtown on a Sunday, we've actually bringing in a pop-up market on Sundays that will set up on the lower half of the Gordon Lee Mansion lawn and have crafts and different items to buy, food, beverage, and just typical vendor type things. And those have been growing as well. When we first started those, we could probably draw 5 to 10 vendors. I think this year we're going to have over 20 for these, and they're starting to become more themed oriented. Our June 20th, I think that's a Saturday, train trip. The pop up market that day is going to be a chicken and waffle themed pop up market, and so we're going to have food vendors serving chicken and waffles. And so in each weekend there'll be a different theme with the market, and that will coincide with the train arrivals. And that's almost the purpose of those is to give us some extra activity downtown when the train arrives.
So this time when the train comes back, there are several new businesses that they are going to be able to visit, not just for the visitors on the train, but locals. Talk about those businesses.
Yeah, there's quite a few actually, and let's start on Lee Avenue and work our way down. Next to Los Patros, we now have the Wise Antique business, where it's an antique mall, replacing the shops of 1910, and it's well done. It's going to be a great place for people to get off the train and kind of buy a little piece of history to take back with them. And if we jump across the street, it's been more than a year. I think we're going on 2 years now, but Stories and Songs has become kind of almost a staple downtown. We're serving coffee, selling vinyl records and books, and they occasionally have live music and book club inside there. And then next door, this is a new business to town, the Slab, which is a sports memorabilia and trading card company.
Interesting.
And I think that is going to match well with the type visitors that we get from the train as well. So we make the turn and head down Gordon Street. 111 Gordon has gone through some changes, and we now have the shops on Gordon Street, which is basically a piece of shop 111 Gordon moving up
two or three
doors up. Okay. Yeah, and then let's see, and then we have to jump across the street at that point to the Railhead Station. Wonderful new restaurant. Serves smoked meat sandwiches, jackets, which are super huge baked potatoes, stuff with everything you could ever want in them. I can't eat a whole whole baked potato.
Yeah.
I usually take half of one home with me, and they have these really great pasta bowls where they take Parmesan cheese and make it into a bowl
Yes.
and fill it with pasta and then throw the
When I saw
pork
that on the
tenderloin on it.
menu,
Oh, those are great.
I knew
Those are great.
exactly what I was getting.
Yeah.
Don't forget the dirty colas too.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
goes as well.
Yeah.
And then something there's been a little bit of a buzz about is the 1885 is moving the St. Elmo location to Chickamauga later this spring, and then right next door to them is Southern Shadows, Ghost Tour and History Company, and they have been doing tours throughout the summer and spring of last year. And now the train scheduled to come back this weekend. They're getting ready to ramp up and start tours again.
So let's go back to 1885 because I know that's been getting a lot of buzz in the community. Which building exactly are they going to be in?
108 Gordon,
Okay.
which for the last few years has had the lettering on the windows of the Liberty Bistro and Tavern.
Okay.
With the ordinary bicycle, the old-fashioned bicycle. It is moving into that building, and they are also going to be leasing a piece of property on the backside, which will make the business kind of like an L shape, and it will give them access to the public patio between Southern Shadows and the Allstate building on Gordon Street. So they'll have open space, seating. And
so is this where the umbrellas are
yes.
or were? Or
yes. I think we have lights there now, but yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are the umbrellas making a comeback? That's one of the most popular questions.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. It's a beautiful area though. The art on the wall. Hopefully another mural in the works.
Yes.
We hope if we I think we'll kind of showcase and bridge the history and also this new connector trail as well.
Yes,
outdoor recreation.
Yes, and that'll be near the railroad tracks. So another cool project in the downtown area is the alley parking space area behind the shops on Gordon Street, basically on the south side between the businesses on Gordon Street and Longstreet's Charge or Euclid Avenue. And in the past, that had been an area was gravel and broken pavement. Now we've put in a rock retaining wall, put concrete down, and did stamping to kind of give it like a textured look and looks wonderful. And it's going to add roughly 40 parking spaces to the downtown area, which we're going to need with the new restaurants opening up. It's also going to allow us a different event space setup. And one of the things since I joined the city and started organizing some of the events downtown that I've heard from our citizens is that we close the streets too often. And truth is we really do. And the way the city and the road infrastructure is laid out, it's difficult to have a larger event like the Down Home Days and not create a dead end pocket over at Crystal Springs Mill. And then that forces people who are in that area to get to South 341 to drive all the way around City Hall and then back up to the Five Points connector, and then that it's just out of the way. It's inconvenient, and I understand that it causes issues for some of our residents. And so, what we're going to be able to do now with this new parking space and its intention to add more parking, but is also within the RSVP plan that the city was able to create with the University of Georgia in 2016. It's also allowing for event space and retail space in that area as well, and so we can move a large portion of our event space and vendors into that parking lot and start creating almost a progressive flow for our events where we can cap off Gordon Street at the red light in Thomas, leave Thomas open so it allows through traffic to be able to maneuver through downtown over to West Ninth, and then if they need to go right or left on 341, it'll be open there. It won't be as convenient as having the red light, but it'll at least be open and allow us to have event space on both sides of the businesses on Gordon Street there. In the road itself, at the red light, most of them will still have our mobile stage that we pull in for music. Vendors behind the businesses as well. So that would allow our merchants on that side of the road to actually have a temporary customer facing operation where you can sell ice cream or food off the backside into that vendor space along with extra vendors. And then our events will be able to move from there into the Crystal or Crawfish Springs Mill property, and we can utilize that more now. And it's a beautiful natural park, passive park, and we haven't used it for much in the past. And this is going to allow us to kind of move our events from West 9th and Thomas from Gordon Street down to Crawfish Springs, and then utilize the grounds at the Gordon Lee Mansion a little more, take some of the burden off of our citizens trying to maneuver downtown when we can leave some of the downtown streets open during our events.
Okay. Well, you mentioned events. You have several coming up. I've seen your lineup of what you've got scheduled for the summer. Are you able to share any of that? Is that information out?
Some of it is. Some of it I have to wait till probably mid-April to share. Um, but we have a number of events that are happening this year that are not produced by the city, and then some that are. And so, with this partnership that we're doing with some event organizing companies, this allows us to expand what we do. And we are starting. Well, let's see if I can go through the calendar in my head. First major event we're going to have this year is going to be on April the 11th, and the Car Show Brotherhood is going to have a car show downtown. It will require us to have all those cars downtown to close the road all the way down to the post office. So if you think you're going to be able to move through downtown on that day, we can't, just because there's too many cars for the car show to be able to put them anywhere else. So we can't close 341. But we'll have a car show earlier in the day on April 11th. And then that evening, we'll be showing the newest Wicked movie, Wicked for Good, I believe it is called, at the Gordon Lee Mansion. We're going to try to move our movies from downtown to the front porch of the Gordon Lee Mansion. It's just easier on our staff to set up and take down and clean up afterwards than having to do all the work that we've been doing in the middle of the street until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And so that'll make it easier for both our staff at the city, and it'll also make it easier for our citizens, where we're not closing the streets down for a movie every other weekend or every third or fourth weekend. So that's April 11th. April the 18th, we're going to kick off with our Anna Haney Cleanup Day. Our Chickamauga Women's Club has been a wonderful partner throughout the years, and so they'll lead that effort, and we will meet at the Holland Watson Park to break out into groups and go do a community cleanup. This year, April 18th would have been Anna Haney's birthday, and so it's going to be a great day to kind of celebrate her and her commitment to trying to keep Chickamauga beautiful. And the Women's Club has picked up that torch for her and has carried that. And not only that, they've been a wonderful partner with our other events. And so later in the day, after that, we're going to have our first annual Crawfish Festival at Crawfish Springs. And this year, we are limiting the footprint to just Crawfish Springs and the lower level of the Gordon Lee Mansion as a first-year event to see how this goes. It's almost a test run. We have music lined up for this event. It's going to be mainly acoustic music, and we'll have a stage built at the edge of the water. And so we'll have the vendors kind of set up inside Crawfish Springs, and it's almost going to be, I mean, it's going to be maybe have like a little bit of a whimsical type feel, because our vendor tents are going to be stacked along the edge of the property there and all the flat spaces that we have, and then with music going on down at the edge of the water. That's April 18th, and then the following weekend, April 25th, is going to be the backup day for the car show in case it rains. And then we'll jump to May the 2nd, and we'll have another movie at the mansion. And we're going to be showing Star Wars Rogue One. We intended to show it last year, but it got rained out and we couldn't get it rescheduled. So this is...
You guys always have rain.
I know.
I feel like every time you try to do something.
Well, and then you say that, and then the next thing on the list is down home days. And everybody knows it always rains on down home days, it seems like. So this year we're gonna attempt to use the new event footprint for down home days, shift a lot of the activity south into the park area, and still keep a good portion of the event going on in the downtown area around our businesses. And so this year for down home days, we have planned 3 stages: one at the red light on Gordon Street, a smaller stage down at the edge of the water at the Springs, and then the big stage that we've been using for music at the mansion on the front porch of the mansion again this year for down home days. And the music will bounce back and forth during the day. And then at 4 p.m., we're going to move all the music up to the mansion. And we'll start at 4 p.m. with Rosewood Grips, followed by Brandon Davis and local favorite, Neon Moon.
My favorite. My favorite.
So
Absolutely.
they're wonderful and have been great to work with to try to get them scheduled for this event. And so what we're doing from that standpoint is we're taking what was a single standalone Music at the Mansion concert and we're really building it into a concert series. And so last year was our first attempt at that, and we did 3 shows. They were well received. They were all great shows, and so we're going to add 2 more this year. So we're keeping those 3, and we're going to build that into the Down Home Days. And so we'll have a Down Home Days Music at the Mansion show, and then we'll come right back in June, on June 27th, with an art festival and Music at the Mansion concert, and we're calling it Chickapalooza. And so it's going to be folk art oriented. We are building in fundraising mechanisms to these concerts this year. They will be, some of them will be ticketed. Down Home Days will not be ticketed, but Chickapalooza will be ticketed for the concert. And those fundraising mechanisms are intended for different organizations. This one is Howard Finster's Paradise Gardens in Somerville, and trying to build some partnership between our local communities here in Northwest Georgia and highlight all the different things and wonderful things that we have to explore in our corner of the state. But the art and folk festival will happen during the day. That will be free, and then at 4 p.m. Uh, you can purchase a ticket online with a QR code that'll be around the venue, or in advance through Sweet Deals of the Week with Cumulus Media and KC106. And the bands that we have scheduled for that show begins with Dead Letter Office, which is an REM tribute band.
Nice.
Disciples of the Garden, which is a Chris Cornell Soundgarden, Audio Slave, and Chris Cornell solo artist tribute band. And then the last one will be Elevation, which is a U2 tribute band. And the reason we selected these is because in the 1990s, this genre of music really latched onto the music of Howard Finster in Somerville, and some music videos were created there. Mr. Finster did artwork for various artists, and actually did the artwork for one of REM's albums. And so it was a great tie-in. And so we reached out to Paradise Gardens and started the discussions. And then what I was trying to do is I was trying to build a lineup that matched the KZ106 classic rock genre, but also met with what the 90s music as well, because some of that is classic now, believe it or not. And so I was trying to find the bands that kind of like filled the void between those two genres. And so U2 was one that kept coming up. And as we were talking with Paradise Gardens, we found out that they had just located some drawings in some of Mr. Finster's files where he did a stage and tour design for a U2 concert tour in Europe in the late 90s. Wow. And so now we had, and this was by accident, but now we have U2 and REM tribute bands performing to celebrate Howard Finster, who he worked with both of those original bands.
You know, I like it because you had also mentioned your partnership with KZ106, and us being the Chamber of Commerce, we always want to see these events driving business, right? And so you've developed some great information about, you know, people coming to town. I don't know if you have any stats you can share right off, but just of the types of insight that you're able to get and to capture from these events.
Numbers off the top of my head are going to be, give me a little bit of grace, but what we're able to do with our work with KC106 is they're able to help amplify our message, first of all, which is great because they not only have digital media that we have outreach through, but on the radio as well. They also have tools for tracking the people who are coming to town for our events, and that's been a great tool for us to be able to look at. It's a little bit eye opening. What we are seeing with our events in Chickamauga right now is we're averaging around 4,000 for most of our events, like the Green Eyes Festival, the Art Festival, Down Home Days, 4,000 to 5,000. Our 4th of July event, which will at our Independence Day event, which will be on the 4th of July this year. We had right at 10,000 people in downtown Chickamauga last year, and that's a lot of people for a town of 3 square miles and 3,000 people. And the data it's great data because it doesn't just give us the number of people who are here, but it also tells us where they go and shop before they come and where they go shop afterwards. And so we can actually see that it's not only affecting our historic downtown businesses, but a lot of the people, when they leave our events, are going to the McDonald's or the Wendy's or the Tiger Mart on Highway 27. So when we do these events, we are bringing economic impact to all of the city, not just the businesses on Gordon Street and Lee Avenue.
That's what we like to hear, Eric. Thank you so much for the insightful discussion and information. You guys have so much planned in Chickamauga. I don't know if you're gonna get a day off anytime soon between now and Labor Day. It doesn't sound like it, but
I may disappear for a few days.
And we'll have to have you back on, and I'm sure you'll have some more events coming in the fall and the winter too. So, but definitely a great spring and a great summer planned in the city of Chickamauga. So. Thanks again. And guys, stay tuned for another episode of Walker Talks. We'll catch you next time.